Okay, so you want to find the front and the back. The ratchet system, which adjusts the hat size or the head size, is on the back. And you want these two front tabs here. You want these lower tabs here. We're going to drill holes in them. Almost all the holes you're going to drill are going to be 5/32. You want to have a sacrificial board. Put the tab out so that it's reinforced. Find the approximate center. Drill through. Go to the second one that's also on the front. Again, the sacrificial board. Approximate center, not a huge deal. Okay, go ahead and shut it off. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, this is polycarbonate board. It is 0.06 thickness, and it's again available at Grainger. This is a 12 by 12 sheet, and it's fairly rigid, and it's going to attach here somewhat like this to the front of this suspension. Go ahead and shut it off. Are you going?
Now I am.
Okay, so one of the things I found is that the quality control on the 12-inch by 12-inch isn't all that great. So what you want to do is find the center point of it. This one happens to be 12-inch by 12-inch, but mark your center point. And again, it's just really an approximate. You don't have to be exact about it, but pretty close. And just mark the center point on that. This has got film on both sides, okay, so that's good, and you want to leave the film on. It happens to dampen some of the vibrations that you can get. All right, after you've done that, you want to go 3¼ inches from the center, between 3¼ and 3½, and mark that spot. You can do the same thing on both sides. Okay. And what that's going to do is be a little bit bigger than the distance from your drill point to your drill point. And the reason why you want it to be bigger is because that forces it to arch around, so it takes the pressure off the forehead when it's being worn. Okay, now you want to come down. About 1/2 inch, and I happen to know that this thing has, well, about there. Take a straight edge. Okay, you can shut it off for a second. Okay. All right, and so we're going to mark our drill spots here, and we're coming across here. Here's my line that I made that was 3½, about 3½ inches, and here's the other one, and that's where I'm going to be drilling. Okay, and then at the bottom of this, I'm going to take 2 inches off of it. This is where I'm going to be sawing. And just because you want it to be nice and square, make a couple different spots. I always like to use 3 reference points, but you know, that's just me. Okay, Use this as a straight edge. And again, it's not critical that it be perfect. Okay, go ahead and shut it off. Okay, this bowl.
Hold on, go.
Okay. This bowl has a diameter of 6 inches. Just makes for kind of a nice rounded area. So I want to round this off a bit. And I'm just making a mark, doing the same thing. Now notice this is on the bottom of the mask, the bottom of the face shield, not the top, not where we're drilling, at least not where we're drilling yet. Okay, there we go. That's nice and round. That will be nice and rounded. We'll do the same thing up at the top. We're not going to get the same amount of rounding, but we'll round it off anyway. There we go. And you'll notice it's not perfect, right? We don't have to worry about it as long as we can get our drill holes in and stuff and get it rounded so it's a little bit nicer around the face. All right, let's start doing our drilling. You need to have a sacrificial board underneath it if you're worried about the surface that you're working with. I'm not too terribly worried about this board underneath, so I'm just using it as a sacrificial board. Okay, there's one hole. There's the other hole. Okay, let's make sure that it's at least 6 inches apart, more than 6 inches apart. Okay, I don't know what I did with my tape. Oh, there it is. Thank you. And yeah, that's close to 7, so that's going to be fine. A little bit shy of 7, that'll be fine. Be nice and rounded. All right. So now we're going to start the assembly. Okay. These were the first bolts I got to do this. They're 2 inches. That's actually longer than they need to be. They only need to be 1.5 inches, as it turned out. We're only going to need 2 of those.
So what size are they? Do you know?
Huh?
What size are those bolts?
Those are number 6, 32s. So that's 32 threads per inch, and they're number 6.
You got them at the hardware store?
Yeah, just standard hardware store, standard electrical. So pretty easy stuff to find. All right, let me find some washers. Okay, I guess we can go ahead. All right, so I've got, like I said, 632, 2 inches, and then washers that are also number 6s. Put a washer on. Take your suspension, first hole in your suspension. Run it from the back so that when it rides up against the head, it sticks out. Okay. All right, that's the first one. Shut her off. Let me get the spacers. This is what keeps it.
Okay, go now. Okay.
These are the spacers that I'm using. They're actually feet for chair legs, and they're available at all kinds of hardware stores. take one out. It's got a little indentation somewhere near the center. Again, it doesn't have to be centered, but you want to get kind of close. Make sure you don't drill through your plastic. Okay, that goes on there. Okay, this foot part, the bottom of it goes onto the bolt. Of course, I always go on easy when you're not doing it on the video. You can turn that off when I...
It's not going yet. There it is.
Okay, I took the drill to it and just reamed out that hole just a little bit. You want it to be snug on the bolt, but you don't want it to be sloppy. So, all right. So now what you're going to do is put the first of the... well, actually, we're going to have to saw this off and round it at this point. So we'll do that. And what I use for that is just a standard jigsaw. And on this jig/saber saw, what I have is a very fine-tooth metal blade, and that's because this stuff will melt if you start hitting it too hard with a heavy thing, or it'll crack. So you don't want either of those things to happen. So you go with a relatively slow speed and just cut it out. Okay, so you've seen one cut, now I'm going to do it easy. That's back towards me rather than where you can see it. Okay, that's your basic cutout. Sand it. rid of any sharp edges and sharp points. You don't want anybody to get a cut on these things. So okay, now you want to make sure, here's the back again, okay, and you want to make sure that as you're putting this on, that you're putting it on so that the a face mask is pointing down. See, like we have right here. Now, that looks like that would be pretty good, but there's a problem that we have to solve for. And the problem is that these feet are relatively weak. So what you have to do to keep that from collapsing is you have to put a washer on the inside of it. You want to turn it off for a second? Okay, so to offset that, what I've done is I've come up with a way to find a washer that fits tightly, relatively tightly in the bottom of these things. And by doing that, you can get a reinforcement on it. Now, how you get that reinforcement is you start off and you put a nut on the end, and you screw it down till it's reseated inside the cavity, this little toe thing. Once you have it inside, and it doesn't matter how much, I mean, you don't want to go all the way down, but doesn't matter how much, then you can build out with washers to the point that you have the big washer reinforced. So I had to get my nut a little bit farther in.
So if you had a larger nut with a small hole in the middle, it would work without building it. You just put one in.
Yeah, if you could. Yeah. Yeah, the whole, I mean, you get the idea, right? It's not rocket science. Okay, so that now will not collapse. Okay, so now what do I do with my suspension? Oh, I got my hand. Here's this. All right, and like I said, you want to make sure that it's going on in such a way that the face mask will be. All right, there you go. That's one on. Now, here's another nut. Here's another washer. And I've been using a rubber washer. Oh, here they are. Okay, here's a rubber washer, followed by a fender washer. Can you open that up? Okay, rubber washer followed by a fender washer, followed by another nut. Now just hand tighten it at this point because you got to put the other side on. Alright, there's that one. Now we got to go with this side. Slide it through the hole that we drilled. Drill another spacer. Remember that's a 5/32 drill. Spacer on. Put a nut on. It would be a cold day, wouldn't it? Medium sized. And a bigger one. Okay, and you want to make sure that the rubber is actually what's going to be hitting against the plexiglass, polycarbonate, not the metal washer. It provides a bit of a cushion, as long as the rubber is what's hitting against it. So if you're a little bit shy, just spin it in a little farther. Actually, you're seeing all the mistakes that I think that can be made, so you're getting a good video here. Okay. And you know what? It needs. Looks like you could use another one. No. Spin it down even further. Funkier to attach. You got a little bit of a tension here, but that's because you're getting the bow to run across the front of the forehead. That's why I had you drill those holes a little bit farther apart. And of course I'm over exuberant here. Okay. Oh, again with the rubber washer. Again with the fender washer. And that rubber washer, by the way, is also called a fender. And now just hand tighten that down. Okay, now in essence you have the mask. You just have to tighten things down a bit more. Or the face shield. You just have to tighten things down a little bit more. And then there's another thing. We're going to drill a hole here, and we're going to drill a hole here. And that's for a string to go across that they can wear behind their neck to pull the face shield down. And also so when they bend over, it doesn't pop back up. So it makes it a little bit of a little adjustment there. All right, so I'm going to take out my wrench. And I don't tighten them down too tight. You just reach my hand across the back to where the bolt is. I grabbed the wrong wrench. Tighten it down. And you'll just feel it when it gets tight. All right. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and drill those other two holes. Now, this is where your drill changes. And I'm doing bad practices here. I'm loosening my chuck without unplugging my drill. Don't try that at home or whatever you're supposed to say. Remember, that's 5/32 for a number 6 bolt, as long as you use the number 6 bolts. And the size on this doesn't matter too terribly much. You want to just easily be able to fit a string through it.
So what did you grab?
Oh, I ended up grabbing a 15/64. But you don't have to have a 15/64 to make this happen. Okay, again, you might want to use a sacrificial. Okay. And then here's some nylon string. Make it good and long.
So it looks like you got it over 6 feet.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think I probably got about 9 feet here. 8, 9 feet. Come from the back to the front. Like I said, when you're doing a video, everything goes wrong. Well, fortunately, haven't gone extra long. Just cut it off and try again.
Of course, with the coronavirus, you don't want to put that string in your mouth.
Well, not you don't want to do it after it's once been to the hospital.
So they're going to sterilize them at the hospital?
Yeah. Yeah, this is not like a one-use throwaway thing. This is something that can be used time and time again. Okay, so come from the back through and then go through the front. Oh my gosh, look at that. So if you have to, tie a little knot in it, keep it from separating. Okay, this is nylon, and I use nylon because it does stand up to cleaning a little bit better. And of course, I put the drill through it. Okay, find the far end. together. All right, so, all right, and this is probably how you're going to send it with the film attached. I'm going to take the film off of this so you can see what that's like. You may want to peel back a portion of it.
I just ran out of battery.
Okay. That's all right. We got almost all of it. Right?
Well,
there isn't much else you need
I
to
guess it's still going. There's still be 10% left. So.
Okay, so I'm peeling those back. You might want to put Scotch tape on it and fold it back over if you want to, so that they can see where to peel. All right. And there's your face mask, basically.